This tweet is the work of Representative Andy Ogles. Muslims don't belong in American society. Pluralism is a lie. I've been thinking about it a lot because Ogles is a member of the House of Representatives, and that is an office I'm running for. Not against Ogles, against one of his other Republican colleagues. And I've had a couple of thoughts about this. The most important thing to say, honestly, you already know what I have to say. I'm a Democrat. Obviously, I'm going to say, and I believe that's disgusting. It's gutter racism, and it reflects a complete misunderstanding of what America is, what America has been, what America could be, what America should be. That's obvious. And a lot of people have done videos and writing that explains that. I don't feel like that's my job right now, just to reiterate it. I've been thinking more about what it says about Ogles and his party and where we're going in the midterms. Ogles didn't write this for no reason. He's not just explaining to everybody what a gutter racist he is. He thinks this is going to get him something. He thinks this is going to get him credit with Republicans, with the base. He thinks this is going to be popular with the people who voted to put him into office in the first place. I'm afraid that he's right, but I think he may have miscalculated. There may be something else going on here, though. I think one of the things he enjoys about this is the way that it humiliates the members of his party and reminds them that they live under a boot. They can't stand up. They can't object to it. They can't point out that this is gutter racism because that would be challenging to the administration. It would be challenging to the party, and that is not what the Republican Party does in 2026. He gets to demonstrate how servile the party is, demonstrate how far it's fallen. And that's what I think about a lot as I'm running in a really red district, a district that is realistically probably as red as Ogles' district is. There are a lot of people, I think, that I'm going to be bending and bringing across the aisle. People who will be tempted to, and I think I can convince to vote for a Democrat this year because they will be called RINOs by people like Andy Ogles. And I feel like that would have bothered them even just last year, certainly the year before that. But now, with Ogles writing things like that and the rest of the party falling on their knees either to praise him or just make a big issue and a show out of how they won't criticize him, I think a lot of people are reconsidering whether RINO is an insult. I think a lot of people are realizing that RINO may be the best kind of Republican to be these days because the heart of the Republican Party has been corrupted by people like Ogles. And the old-fashioned Republicans, the Bob Dole-style Republicans, the Ronald Reagan-style Republicans, they don't want it. They don't like it. They're not Democrats. They're still Republicans, but they're not this either. And so they get called RINO, Republicans in name only. Good for them. Own that part of the party. Be a RINO. Remember the values the party used to stand for and kick this Ogles nonsense into the garbage where it belongs. The other thing I've been thinking about when it comes to this particular tweet is how much it never even occurred to me or anyone else that Republicans would object to this. Nobody thought they would. Nobody was surprised that they didn't. And I don't mean Republicans on the street. I don't mean voters. I mean the people in office. I mean the politicians. I mean the people who lead the party. Party leaders were always going to fall in line behind this. They made their choice. They told us what their values are. And it's nothing that would be inconvenienced by the stuff that Ogles is tweeting. I'm running against a man named Tracy Mann. Tracy Mann is famous, if he's famous at all outside of Kansas, for being one of the architects of the destruction of USAID. And not just when Elon Musk wanted it killed. Mann was a foe of USAID for a long time. Did not like the Food for Peace programs being used to feed people around the world. Really just wanted them to serve big ag in a few convenient political ways. And when he had a chance to kill it, was happy to do that. It strikes me that probably nobody in Mann's life, not a single person, not his staff, not his friends, not his family, certainly not the voters, not a single person in his life would have stopped for a second and thought, I bet Tracy will say this was wrong. Not a single person. Nobody he knows, nobody he works with, nobody who sits in Congress with him, nobody he meets when he comes home. No one would have seen this tweet by Andy Ogles saying Muslims don't belong in American society and think, Tracy Mann won't like this. Tracy Mann will say that it's wrong. They knew his character. They know who he is. And who he is a man who sees something like this and either agrees with it or looks at it and thinks, what does that have to do with me? Why would I be a leader? Why would I say that something is wrong just because it's wrong? Well, that's who he is. That is his character. And that's why I'm running against him. These aren't the most profound insights, but I think they're worth saying, worth thinking about, especially if you are a Kansas Republican. This isn't you, doesn't have to be you, but it will be the party if you let it go that far, if you let it decline and rot the way it has been. It's time to cross the aisle. It's time to think about voting for the better candidate instead of the same party, because that is the only signal the party will respect when it starts to lose power because of how far it's fallen. Cross the aisle with me. Vote for the better candidate instead of the same old party, because that's how we get better parties on both sides of the aisle. Thanks.